Well, good afternoon, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. If you're in the room, you can grab a seat. For those of you joining us online, thanks so much for being here. This is our mid-year update. It's just a chance for us to gather together as a church family and kind of bring you up to speed on where we are as we find ourselves here in the middle of the year. I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to believe that we're actually already halfway through 2021. It seems as though it's flying by. So we really want to be here today to celebrate, to say thank you, and to make sure that you're informed about things that you need to be informed about. We're gonna spend just a few minutes together, and part of what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce you to some new pastors that we have on our staff. We're gonna give you an update on where we stand financially here in the middle of the year. We wanna bring you all up to speed on where things stand with regard to our remodeling project, and then to let you know about some exciting things that we have on the horizon as we look forward on into the fall. So the first thing, as I mentioned, is we want to introduce you to some new pastors that are serving on our team. One of the things that we hear from time to time from the congregation in a church as large as ours, that sometimes there's a sense of like, who's on our team and what exactly do they do and who are they? And so we have 3 new pastors who have joined us since our annual meeting, and we thought we'd put together a fun little video to introduce them to you. Now, some of them have been around for a while. Some of them are back around, and so they may be familiar faces to you, and yet there's an opportunity for you to get to know them a little bit more personally by watching them tell some about themselves in the video, and then by looking out for them and introducing yourself to them if you don't know them already when you pass them in the hall. So without any further ado, I want to turn your attention to the screens to introduce you to some of our new pastors.
My name is Nandy Rosehart. My whole name? Amy Opperly. Amy Opperly.
My name is Isaac.
I am the early childhood pastor. I'm the women's pastor here at IBC.
I am the communication pastor. Hashtag authentic.
Fun and focus. Hashtag no filter. I am a farm girl and spent most of my childhood driving a tractor.
I was in show choir in high school.
I was an Olympic alternate at the age of 17. When my husband proposed to me. I don't really like surprises that much, so.
My wife telling me we were expecting our first child.
Sneakers.
Oh, sneakers all day. Nike, swoosh, Jordans, let's go.
Wedges. Iced matcha, Jamaican food, and my Converse. Hot tamales, coffee, statement earrings.
All right, we'll go with a good book. I guess we could Jesus juke and say Bible. Our Bible, let's go with, can I say my dog?
I guess so, yeah, I think you just did.
My dog, Honey, can't do without Honey. And a drink from Kentucky called Ski.
I think that was 4 things.
Sorry.
Early childhood at Urban Bible is vibrant.
Comm team is strategy.
Women's ministry is legendary. Jeopardy. True crime documentaries.
The Bachelorette.
Has to be Evernote.
A Twitter.
You don't have a favorite app?
Oh, I was gonna say Sonos, but that's not really an app.
Authentic, passionate, and a thinker.
Authentic, fun, broken. Fun, focused, and determined. Darcy Peterson. Oh, easy, Tiffany Stein.
I will go with Darcy Peterson.
Life Together by Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis.
Abba's Child by Brennan Manning. Dolphins. Koalas.
Koalas. Balderdash.
Monopoly Deal. Monopoly. Plethora.
Romper.
Asinine. The people are my favorite thing about IBC.
The fact that we are committed to being a multi-ethnic movement and we put action behind that.
IBC is a place of inclusion, racial and cultural inclusion.
Isn't that a fun video? I want to encourage what Barry just said, encourage you again that if you would take a moment in these next couple of weeks or maybe month. If you see one of these three pastors, would you stop them, say hello, greet? For me, when I came on staff over 14 years ago, some of the people in this room went out of their way to make me feel welcome, to be known and appreciated. And I'd encourage all of you, the people in this room, those of you watching online, you IBCers, I hope you'll do that. I want to throw a curveball at you right out of the gate because there's certain days where you just have to celebrate. There is someone in this room that served at IBC for longer than anyone in the history of IBC on staff. He started in 1974 serving at IBC, and it's not Andy McQuitty. Sorry, Andy, that was a layup. I saw you there. You may not see online, guys, but there's someone that's very dear to us as a church family that is here after over a year and a half going through some recovery and healing process. You might have even heard me reference it this morning about praying for him. But can we stand for a second and just thank Bob Downey for his ministry to IBC? We love you, brother. We love you. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for doing that. All right, I get the privilege of sharing a little about where we're at mid-year through with our budget update, give you a quick update also on our next up remodeling effort. I do want to start by saying this has been one of the most challenging years for me as an executive pastor. I'm coming up on my 11th year sitting in this position, and I will tell you that sitting from this position and this year has brought so many unique challenges. There's two big challenges for me, especially when it comes to budget and giving specifically, and I imagine both of them you might already know. But the first one is this global pandemic. Are we aware there was a global pandemic? One of the things that's happening in this church and churches in the Metroplex and across the country are navigating the shifting sands of the church. Not only just how that affects online experience and in-person experience, but also giving. And so as we started the year, we were really, really vigilant about understanding the unique dynamics of giving and expenses, but also putting in some steps and some processes and some accountability so that we do this well. You may not know this, but there's a small budget team, an IBC budget team that's made up of 3 elders, Don Robb, Mike Pope, and Abe Paul. I'd love to see if Don and Mike, would you stand for a moment just so that they can see you? Abe is not here today, but these guys are part of our budget team. In the past, we would meet as a budget team once a month. During these past 6 months, we've been meeting regularly, weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, but realizing that this is a unique season. Now, that's one thing that is different about what's been happening over this past 6 months as a church in regards to giving and expenses. But on top of that, we have the unique dynamic of trying to finish up a remodeling effort. The Next Up remodeling effort started almost right in line with when the pandemic hit. And there was some really great things about that because we really, as a church, had very minimal growing pains because we didn't have the, hey, this place is closed down, because so many of us moved, well, all of us moved to online worship for a while. But as that has been a blessing in one sense of navigating some of the challenges of a building that's under remodel, over 40% of our building being remodeled, it also added some dynamics in regards to giving. We had a massive project, a project that is millions of dollars happening at the same time. And so we were navigating changing expenses, changing giving, along with a building project, and it's made for a unique time. So I want to give you just a couple of quick numbers so you can get an idea, and want to invite all of you, and I hope you all feel comfortable, because the people I see here and those of you online, you're sitting here because you're a part of IBC, and I hope you feel comfortable of saying, hey, I've got questions. And if you've got questions or you want to go a little bit deeper on the finances, you can certainly go to our website. But I also want to invite you to meet with myself or Jeremiah Beatron, our pastor of operations, or the 2 men that stood for our finance team. They'd be able to answer any questions you might have. Along with, at the end of our time this afternoon, our deacons and some of our senior staff are gonna be standing up front. So if you've got questions about things you just heard, we invite you to take that opportunity. We wanna make sure we are clear and transparent, because we think it'll inform not only your giving, but also your prayer. as we go through this really challenging season. So as you can see on the screen, we started the year with a budget of $6.325. That was a budget that we felt comfortable with going into a year with an idea of how interesting and challenging it's going to be with what's happening with the pandemic. As we started the year, we knew right away within the first quarter that we had to continue to be extremely fiscally conservative, that we would lower our expenses, that we would work hard in every way possible to freeze things. And we were able to do that. And quite frankly, IBC, we were able to do that last year because so many things were happening online. But the tension that we've had in the first and second quarter of this year is that as we want more people coming into the building, our costs are going to continue to rise. And so you can see our giving update. You can see our actual year to date. And this is as of as of the end of May, is right around 2.8 million in giving. I note, and you can see on the screen, that that's off a couple $100,000 from last year this same time. I wanted to put that up there because that represents about a 7% difference in giving from year to date. We're working with a lot of churches to navigate, as I said, what's happening with the pandemic, and we're seeing some of these trends happening at churches across the country and certainly churches in the Metroplex. There's some outliers, but generally speaking, the church in America is trying to figure out who's coming back, who's in the church, and where we're headed forward. So for us, what that means specifically is continuing into the end of the second, third quarter, we are going to continue to work hard to lower our expenses. At this point, we've been able to do that. And as I already referenced, we anticipate starting back our spending in the way that we were targeted with that $6.3 million budget, but certainly won't move towards 6.3 as we keep navigating our giving and expenses. I want to also put up on the screen an idea of where we're at with our Next Up remodel. We went into the remodeling project with a $7.6 million budget. Some of you may have heard us say this in a couple of videos. We have continued to work hard about when you remodel a building that is our age, over 30 years of an IBM business center, we started finding, so to speak, some dead bodies. What I mean by that is there were some things that we just knew going into a project we wouldn't know how to budget for, but once we got into it, we started finding that. So we've worked hard to keep that number because, again, we are not going into debt to do the Next Up remodel, but we also have this challenge of not knowing what our giving is going to be as we go through the end of the year. You can also see on the screen, we've already spent 5.8. That means 1.8 still needs to be spent to finish that. We do not anticipate and will not go into debt for the final remaining payment of that, which as of right now is targeted for somewhere in the September-October date as we finish up the project. That 1.8, though, is currently going to be paid by cash reserves along with continuing to lower our expenses. But as you'll hear from Barry here in a moment, we are going hard in opening up church in fall. So we anticipate expenses continuing to rise. So that's a quick, brief snapshot. Again, 7% behind year to date. We're working hard in lowering our expenses, and we want to make sure you are in the know in sharing where we're at and praying for where we're at. I hope you guys feel like this is this unique year that we've never seen before, and we, especially the elders, are working hard to make sure that we're fiscally accountable and conservative. So I want to make sure you always know that. And again, a final invitation as I close. Jeremiah, myself, Mike, Don, Abe, we are available to meet with you. We'd be willing to come and sit with you over a meal or coffee and share a little bit more. We'll continue to have all of these updates on our website as well. And I hope you'll continue to pray as we go into uncharted territory for us as a church in the third and fourth quarter of 2021. Now, I have a lot of excitement around our remodel, and I wish I could take every person hand and just walk you through the remodel. So instead of us doing that, Jeremiah has been great to do a quick video so you can kind of see where we're at with the remodeling project. Check this video out.
Hey there, it's great to see you again. I'm back to give you an update on our Next Up renovation project. Last time I was with you, it was just before Easter, and we were about to release some space to be used. In fact, that was our early childhood space, the space that I'm standing in right now. And that space has been in use for the past couple of months. Love this space, but you guys, we have a bunch of updates, bunch of space that we are now using, not just the early childhood space. We're kind of in three phases right now. We are in a space that is already finished, so I want to give you an update on that. We have space that is almost finished, so I want to give you a little update on that and the timeline there. And then we have space that is still in process. So the space that is now finished, one is our elementary space. This is 1st through 5th grade. That space is done and it is being used. Skylark, our summer camp, has been using that space and they're making great use of it. Such a great space. Can't wait for you to see that if you haven't been in there yet. The other space that is already finished and is in use is our Arise Special Needs space. I'd love to give you a tour of that space because Shannon, our special needs director, has done some great work of preparing that space for our special needs kiddos. And you guys, it is phenomenal. They have this entire suite where they can just move around and use the space at their leisure. And so it's great space for them. I want you to see that. Now we have some spaces also that are almost finished and we're getting ready to release those for use. The first space is our adult education multi-purpose room. That space is where we will have our women's Bible study, our men's first watch, we'll have foundation in there. We'll do some other bigger events in there, maybe even like our annual meeting will happen in that space. And you guys, this room is amazing. I told you before we would be adding about 100 more seats to this space, but I was just in there, and this is what's exciting about it. I was just in there a couple days ago watching our installation of the AV, the technology that's going in that room. And we had some pretty good AV in our other space, but now you guys, this is amazing technology that you're gonna see in the new multi-purpose room. If you've been to AT&T Stadium, you've been pretty wowed by the monitors there. Wait till you come into the new multi-purpose room. It's awesome. Third space that is almost finished is our student ministry space. If you are a student, high school or middle school, this is your space dedicated just for you. And this space is awesome. You have a great worship space, but the other thing about the student ministry space is the hangout lounge. So there's gonna be a space where you have a kitchenette and you have maybe a pool table, a foosball table. We're gonna get that space open for you. It's almost done. It's getting so close, just around the corner. Can't wait for you to see that. Now we have a space that is also, or a couple spaces that are still in process. And so what are those spaces? One is our play area. We have a new play area coming. I told you before, we got rid of the tubes, but now we have a new play area coming. It's one of a kind for our IBC community, but also for our neighbors. And so I can't wait for you to see this one. Think of like giant honeycomb shapes with some slides in there and a tree house. It's a really cool space designed just for IBC. And then the other thing is our new staff admin offices. For the first time in the history of IBC, our staff will get to work shoulder to shoulder, bumping elbows with one another, and in one space together, working side by side. So looking forward to that. I want to take a minute and let you know or say a couple thank yous to you. One, I want to say thank you for your patience. So we started this project back in July 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. We debated whether to do that, but we went forward with it. And for the next 12 months, it'll probably end up being a total of 14 months, we've been in this renovation. So thank you for being patient with us as we've worked on this project. It's well worth the wait. Secondly, I want to say thank you for your prayers. We could not have done this without your faithful prayer. Keep praying for this project. Pray for the people who will occupy this space, not only our IBC church families, but also our community who will use our church for their own needs. We want to pray for them. We want to pray that the gospel message would be clearly communicated in these hallways. So excited about that, so key. And then lastly, I want to say thank you for your financial support. You have been so generous. I know you're looking for a third P right there, not a third P. Thank you for your financial support. You have been so generous. We could not have done this project without you. Every single penny that has gone toward this project was totally worth it and needed. So thank you. Guys, we are excited for you to see this space. We're ready to get this space open to everybody, and it's just around the corner. We're almost there. So hang in there. We have a grand reopening coming up in August Watch your email, watch Sunday mornings for announcements about that grand reopening. We're gonna be excited to get back into the space. I can't wait for you to see it. Thank you. See you soon.
Well, I want to echo Jeremiah's words of thanks. Thank you for your patience. It has been a long, drawn-out process. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your faithful support of IBC, your contributions to make this possible. Guys, it's unbelievable, the space. And I'm actually gonna call an audible. Brian said, I'd love to be able to take you on a tour. I'd actually like to take you on a tour today. If you wanna hang out after we finish answering questions down here, if you'd like to wander through the building, I'd be more than happy to take you. If there's a whole bunch of you, I'll rope Brian in. He'll take some people too. So we want you to see this space because it's absolutely incredible. Now, some of you have heard me talk about the idea of hearing a preacher years ago talking about sin. And the preacher said, sin will take you further than you wanted to go, keep you longer than you wanted to stay, and cost you more than you wanted to pay. And I've come to believe the same is true of any remodel, right? It will take you farther than you wanted to go, it'll keep you longer than you wanted to stay, and it'll cost you more than you wanted to pay. And so we would just ask you if you would consider, if you have the capability to help us finish this project strong. You heard Brian talk about what we have left still to kind of pay out on that project. Would you prayerfully consider how you might help us finish strong with this building remodel? We also want to let you know that we're in a situation where we have this incredible space, a great opportunity to love on the kids that are already a part of Irving Bible Church, a great opportunity to reach new families within our community and invite them into our space. And the biggest challenge that we face now isn't space, it's people. It's volunteer leaders who are willing to step up and say, I will show up and I will help love on these kids, and I will help point them to Jesus. And so we want to challenge and encourage you to continue to consider whether children's ministry might be a place where, as we re-enter this sort of post-pandemic reality, Lord willing, that you might step up and be willing to be a part of that amazing group of volunteers that serves our kids. You'll find friendships with the people that you serve. You'll find a deep sense of satisfaction and delight being able to point children towards Jesus. We have all the resources that you'll need to just hand that to you. You can show up and love on our kids. We'd love to have you consider that. And you can go to irvingbible.org/servechildren and find out more about how to get plugged in serving with our kids ministry. Now, one of the things that Jeremiah mentioned is grand reopening, that we are looking ahead to the last Sunday in August, August the 29th. We want all of you to mark your calendars, to try not to go out of town that weekend. August 29th is gonna be a grand reopening for us. Obviously, our space is open, but it's a celebration. It's what we're calling our Homecoming Sunday. And Homecoming Sunday is gonna be a day that we just ask everybody that calls IBC home to make a point to be here, so that we can celebrate being together. We can celebrate having endured this challenging season. We can celebrate that we have this incredible new space that's all finished up. And so we want you to be a part of our Homecoming Sunday, Sunday, August 29th. It's also an opportunity for us to reach out to friends and neighbors and coworkers and invite them to come and experience this. We not only want those of us who already call IBC home to be here and celebrate being together, but we also want to extend the invitation to others who maybe don't have a place that they can call home, a community of people that they can belong to, and say to them, come and find home here with us at Irving Bible Church. So make sure to make plans to try to be a part of that day. It's gonna be a great day, a big celebration here in the service, and then after service, we'll have all kinds of activities. There's gonna be stuff for kids, there's gonna be food. It's gonna be out of this world. So make sure to mark your calendars. Sunday, August 29th, Homecoming at Irving Bible Church. We also want to let you know something else that we're looking forward to. Then 2 weeks after that Homecoming Sunday, we'll be launching a sermon series called The Time Is Now. You've heard over the last few years this phrase, next up. We've been focused on what's ahead for us. And now we're coming to the end of Next Up. And Lord willing, we're coming to the end of all the craziness of the last 18 months and living through a global pandemic. And we want to focus in the fall on what is God calling us to now, right? The time is now for us to boldly move forward into the future that God has for us. And so I'm really excited about that sermon series that'll be launching the Sunday after Labor Day, where we kind of recast a vision for what God is calling us to as his people in this moment. The time is now. So we hope that you'll plan on being a part of that as we, again, move forward into the future that God is calling us into. Thank you guys so much for just making the time, the space to be here and be a part of this today. As Brian mentioned, we'll have elders and pastors that are gonna be up here at the front at the end if you have any questions. If you're watching online and something you've heard has sparked a question in you, you can email info@irvingbible.org and we can make sure that that question gets directed to the right person that can follow up with you. But we'll have folks that are up here willing to engage in conversation with you on any questions that you might have. And again, if you're interested and want to hang around for just a few minutes, I'd be delighted to be able to take you on a tour of the new space. All right, that's it. The only thing that we have left today is my friend John Dyer, one of our elders, is gonna come and he's gonna pray us out. So John, would you come and lead us in prayer?
Well, before we pray, can I just say one more thank you just for being our church family? I was thinking about Dr. Knight's sermon today about kind of our close family, our parents and our siblings. And I'm just so grateful for you all for being a church family. My wife and I have been here for about 20 years, and I watched my son go over to that new space today and just be so excited to be here. So thank you. Thank you for being our church family this year, for all that we've been through. So let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, we just thank you for bringing us through such a strange and interesting year. God, we have so many things to be grateful for and who you are. We have so many things we still need to bring before you, so many different troubles and aches and pains and things that everyone here is going through. So God, we just want to praise you for who you are, for being good to us, for loving us, for sending your son Jesus to us, for empowering us with your spirit. God, we thank you for the provision that you have brought us through, the men and women of this church who are here in the room and online and around, who have made so many different things possible. And so God, I pray now that you'll help us to finish out this project, to make everything, just put all those last little bits together and be able to make a space that people hear the good news of your son, Jesus. They experience the presence of your spirit in their heart, and they connect together as friends and as family and as fellow believers. So God, we dedicate this space to you and this time to you. We pray all these things in your son's name and by your spirit. Amen. Thank you all. You can go.